My name is Jess and welcome to the Storyteller Fox. Come along and listen to read aloud books, be it for bedtime, story time, or simply to read along.
Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, retold by Katie Danis, illustrated by Penny Mountain, read aloud by the Storyteller Fox. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. Chapter 1. A Secret Cave. Long ago in Persia, there lived two brothers. Qasim was a rich merchant, but Alibaba was only a poor woodcutter. While Qasim ran a large store in town, Alibaba spent his time collecting firewood. He would gather twigs and branches to sell at the market. One day, Alibaba spotted a band of horsemen galloping into the woods. They had daggers and looked dangerous. Quickly, he hid in a tree. The men stopped at a cliff near Alibaba's tree. "Open sesame!" cried their leader, and a hole appeared in the rock. Silently, they went in. "That's amazing," thought Alibaba. He wanted to explain, but he was scared of the men. After a long wait, he saw the rock open again. He counted the men as they hurried out. There were 40 of them. "Shut sesame!" said the leader. The rock closed and the men rode away. "Follow me, men." Alibaba slid down from his tree. He tried the magic words. "Open sesame!" Instantly, the rock opened. Alibaba crept inside and gasped. The cave was crammed with treasure. "Those men must be thieves," he thought. "They won't miss a few coins," and he filled 4 bags with gold. He turned to go, but the rock had closed behind him. "Open sesame!" he cried. The rock slid open and he darted out. "Shut sesame!" he added before racing home. Alibaba's wife was stunned to see his bags full of gold instead of wood. "I must be dreaming," she sighed. Then Alibaba told her the whole story. "We should hide the gold," she said. "But first, let's find out how rich we are." She ran to Qasim's house and asked to borrow his wife's scales. Qasim's wife wondered why. Secretly, she smeared some wax on the scales before handing them over. "Thank you." When the scales came back, Qasim's wife found a gold coin stuck to the wax. She showed it to Qasim. "Your brother isn't a poor man after all," she cried. "He weighs his gold." The next day, Qasim took the coin to Alibaba. "Tell me where this came from," he ordered Alibaba. Alibaba couldn't lie to his brother, so he told him about the cave. Chapter 2. The Thieves Returned. "Gold?" thought Qasim. He hired 10 donkeys and took them to the place Alibaba had described. "Open, sesame!" he cried. The rock opened and Qasim stepped into the cave. He was dazzled by all the treasures. "I want everything." He stuffed his bags full, then turned to leave, but he'd forgotten the magic words. "Open, strawberry!" he cried. Nothing happened. Qasim was trapped. Worse still, he could hear voices outside. He wanted to hide, but he was frozen with fear. Suddenly, the rock opened. "Get him, man!" shouted the leader of the thieves. "He knows our secret. Chop him up and leave his body." That night, Qasim didn't come home for supper. His wife was worried. She went to Alibaba's house in tears. "I think Qasim's in trouble," she wailed. "Please find him." "I hope he hasn't gone to the cave." Morning came and there was still no sign of Qasim. Alibaba went to look in the cave. "Open, sesame!" he called. The rock slid back to reveal a horrible sight. Alibaba quickly put them in a bag and hurried home. He went to ask Qasim's loyal servant Morgiana for help. Morgiana went straight to Mustafa the tailor. "I need you to sew up something in secret," she said. "I'll pay you well, but you must let me blindfold you." Mustafa agreed. He needed the money. Morgiana led him to Alibaba's house and made him sew up Qasim's body. Soon Alibaba was able to bury his brother in one piece. Chapter 3. X marks the spot. Meanwhile, the thieves had more stolen goods to hide. "Gamal, the body's gone," cried a thief to their leader. "Someone else must know about our cave," Gamal replied. "We must catch him too." "Let me go to town and track down our enemy," suggested one of the thieves. The thief was in town before sunrise. Only Mustafa the tailor was already at work. "How can you sew in the dark?" asked the thief. "It's easy," replied the tailor. "The other day, I even sewed up a body while blindfolded." "A body?" said the thief. "I'll give you a gold coin if you show me where you did that." But Mustafa couldn't remember the way, so the thief put a blindfold on him. "Now can you find the house?" he asked. "I think it's this door. I'll mark it with chalk." An hour later, Morgiana arrived at Alibaba's house from the market. "What's this cross for?" she wondered. "I think something's fishy is going on." She drew crosses on the doors of 9 other houses, so Alibaba's didn't stand out. Back at the cave, the thief was telling his friends about Mustafa and the house. "I can show you where our enemy lives," he said. He took a mile to Alibaba Street, only to find 10 doors marked instead of 1. "It's one of these." Gamal returned to the cave very annoyed. "Right," he said. "I'll give a sack of jewels to the man who can find our enemy." And so a different thief set off to ask for Mustafa's help. When they reached the door, the thief had an idea. "I'll mark it in red chalk," he thought. "Do I have to do this again? I'll give you 2 gold coins." After he'd left, Morgiana noticed the new cross. She quickly drew 9 more in red this time. The second thief led Gamal to Alibaba Street. There were so many crosses, he didn't know where to start. "Must I do everything myself?" cried Gamal. Chapter 4. The Oil Cellar. Before long, Gamal had hatched a plan. First, he ordered his men to buy 38 big oil jars and 19 donkeys. He filled 1 jar with oil and left the rest empty. "I want 37 of you to hide in the jars," he told the men. "You 2 fools better find another boss." Then he disguised himself as an oil seller and led the donkeys into town. Each donkey carried 2 jars. Gamal went to see Mustafa. "Show me where you sewed up that body," he said, giving Mustafa 3 gold coins. "Here we are. Thanks. You can now go." At Alibaba's door, Gamal knocked loudly. "Can I help?" said Alibaba. "I hope so," replied Gamal. "I'm an honest oil seller with nowhere to stay." "Well, come in and make yourself at home," said Alibaba. "You can leave your donkeys in the yard." While Gamal unloaded his jars, he spoke to the thieves. Keep hiding. Keep hidden until I throw a pebble from my window," he whispered. "Then you know it's time to attack." Morgiana was preparing supper for Alibaba and his guest when her lamp ran out of oil. "I'm sure the oil seller won't mind if I take some of his," she thought. She reached the first jar and was shocked to hear a voice. "Is it time, Gamal?" it asked. Thinking quickly, she replied in a deep voice, "No, not yet." Then she went from jar to jar, listening for voices. "Is it time?" "No, not yet." Only 1 jar contained oil. Men were hiding in the others. Morgiana guessed Alibaba was in big trouble. She took the oil to the kitchen, heated it in a huge pot, then carried it out to the yard. Carefully, she tipped sizzling oil into all 37 jars. One by one, the thieves spluttered. That night, Gamal looked out of his window. "All clean," he thought, and threw a pebble at one of the jars. 20 pebbles later, there was still no sign of his men. "They must be asleep," he thought, and crept outside to wake them up. To his horror, he found all his men not alive. He panicked and fled. In the morning, Morgiana showed Alibaba and told him about the oil seller's escape. "They're the thieves I showed at the cave," he cried. Chapter 5. Revenge. By now, Gamal was very upset. He thought of nothing but of capturing Alibaba. While he was plotting, he decided to sell some of the treasure. He dressed up as a businessman and set up a market stall. By chance, Alibaba's nephew ran and stole nearby. Hello, my name's Camel. Nice to meet you, Mr. Camel. The two men got along well. I made a new friend, the nephew told Alibaba. A week later, Alibaba's wife held a dinner party for the nephew and his friend. Gamal found himself face to face with his enemy. All went well until Alibaba offered him salt. Have some salt? No, anything but that. In Persia, it was very unlucky to harm someone if you'd eaten this. Morgiana heard the guest refuse the salt. Strange, she thought, and studied him more closely. It's the man who pretended to be an oil seller, she gasped. I must protect Alibaba. Quickly, she changed into dancing clothes with a tambourine in her hand and a dagger at her side. She swayed and twirled in front of the party. She's wonderful. Her dance was greeted with claps and cheers. Then Morgiana went from one person to the next holding out her tambourine for money. Alibaba gave her a coin and so did his nephew. Gamal fumbled for his purse. This is my chance, thought Morgiana. As Gamal looked down, she captured him. The others jumped up. What have you done? Cried Alibaba. I'll save your life, Morgiana replied. Look carefully at your guest, she went on. He's really the fake oil seller. He's also the leader of the thieves, cried Alibaba. Morgiana, how can I ever repay you? Alibaba asked. Maybe she could marry me, suggested his nephew. Great idea, said Alibaba. We'll have the wedding of the year, and there's a cave full of treasure to pay for it. The end. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves comes from a collection of Arabian stories known as 1001 Nights. According to the legend, a sultan wanted to assassinate his wife. To save herself, the wife started telling him a wonderful story. The sultan found the story so good, he let her live to finish it. Then she started another one, hundreds of stories, and 1001 nights later, the sultan let his wife go. The end.
The end. And that's the end of our story time. For more bedtime stories, you can check on our YouTube playlist or listen to more storytime compilations at the Storyteller Fox. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.